Welcome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to
Hello.
the Hiring Lens Live. And this is a very special edition because this is the first time in like 5 months, maybe, since we've all been together. So this is exciting.
Absolutely.
I'm Jeremy Nichols. I'm with Gecko Hospitality. I am a hospitality headhunter in the state of Florida. Specialize in hotels, restaurants, resorts, private estate, country clubs, you name it, in the state of Florida. And I'm joined by my great friends here, who are two of which are in hospitality and one who is in finance. And I guess we'll go around the clock and you guys can do your intros.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeremy. I've jumped the gun there and just thought I was going to go next. That's probably the most...
Go for it.
That's like the most fun I've had backstage before an event that we've run in a long time. I think it's because we haven't seen each other for so long. So it's just good to catch up with you guys.
Yes.
Thanks for anyone joining and watching on replay. It's amazing to be here again. My name is Aidan. I am the Managing Director of Ayla Recruitment. We are a specialist finance recruitment business in the UK, covering mainly the South and London. So amazing to be here. Looking forward to this show. It's going to be a really interesting one, I think, this hour.
For sure. Christine, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Christine Trippy of The Wise Pineapple, and I am here to revolutionize hospitality with all of you. Training, consulting, you name it, I'm here for you. Oh, and I'm also the author of that little cute book, Yes is the Answer.
Now I see why Aiden got in front of that, because how are you supposed to follow it? Hi guys! It's Tom Managing Director of Edwards and Finn, and also the host of ENF TV. My business specializes in revenue management recruitment within the UK and also internationally. I'll keep that one short and sweet today, guys. So go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, it's funny. So this episode is entitled the looming recession. I guess it's a little bit of clickbait because everybody's wondering, like, oh my God, like everybody's heard that there's a recession coming, and it's like Chicken Little, everybody's running around. And Christine jumped in last in the green room, right? And I guess I'll let Christine take it from here. But without knowing that was my approach to this episode, she said it. So Christine, you want to take it from here? What do you think of this looming recession?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think of it. First, before I tell you what I think of it, if anybody's out there or if you're watching on the replay, type in the chat if you feel like we are going to have this horrible looming recession happen. My take is that we need to stop talking about it because we conjure it and we create it. And I am not worried about a recession right now. Right now, our economy is strong. People are spending money everywhere. The demand in hotels and travel and getting out is incredible. Now, that's not to say that it can't happen. I'm not in, my little happy dream world. However, they're doing many things to prevent us from going into recession. And that's increasing the interest rates and whatnot. That's to slow down spending because there's so much spending, it's creating inflation. So they've just got to even it out. I do not believe that might come back to bite me, but I do not believe that we are.
This is recorded. This is recorded.
Headed for a massive recession like we experienced in 2008 and whatnot. Now, again, there's the pendulum is just shifting right now from everything we've been through, and it might shift a little bit that way. But I do not feel that we are. And again, I don't have the credentials, but I'm telling you what I think.
Well, Debbie Silverstein seems to think that yes, unfortunately, it is coming. But does that mean it's a bad thing? Like how I've been through 4 recessions as a recruiter, and I've seen a lot of terrible things happen, and I've seen a lot of positivity. So I guess it really depends on how we look at it. I mean, metric wise and statistically, and what the economists tell us, if we technically are, some say we are now, right? But like, does it impact us in our industry as recruiting, as trainers and consultants? For me, I'm busier than I ever have been. I don't feel it at all at my desk. Like even if there
Right.
is a looming recession, people are still hiring. We are so depleted in the hiring market, right? And that's what we're here to talk about. So,
well, and that's
yeah.
the one thing I was going to say. If the pendulum does shift a little bit, and we do go in the direction of a recession, it's almost what we need, because we were so cooped up during the pandemic, and now all of those things that happened. So now inflation is so high because demand is so high. People were saving their money and they're spending. So that's why it's causing this inflation and whatnot. But and there's such a hiring market. If the pendulum goes back a little bit, honestly, for our industry, I'm thinking it might be a good thing, because we can maybe find some staff.
I have some things to bring up. I have plenty of topics. Like right here, I'll bring it up. You guys want to comment? I'll just chuck up some quotes. NPR, job market is unsustainably hot, says the Fed Fed chair Jerome Powell. Says he and his colleagues are trying to stabilize a job market that is just unsustainably hot. Wages have been rising at a fast clip in an economy where the unemployment rate is at 3.6. I remember going through a recession, it was like 14%.
Right.
3.6, which is very close to his pre-pandemic low. Still, we're still at a 3.6.
Right.
Fed chair, we don't seek to put people out of work, he said, but we also think that you really cannot have that kind of labor market we want with price stability.
Exactly. So we're going to have to pendulum shift a little bit in order to stabilize what we've got going.
I'd say from my perspective, I mean, Jeremy and I spoke about this just before we jumped on live, but there was a fantastic sort of panel with CEOs from the major corporate hotel brands. So your Marriott, your Accor and Hilton and so on. There you go. Perfect.
There you
Thanks,
are.
mate. And some of the biggest sort of talking points were massively positive. And again, you might not have them as screenshots, maybe. Okay, cool. There we go. So we've seen, in terms of sort of the positivity from all this over the last few weeks. I mean, we've seen even with the potential challenges, the prediction for the London anyway, London market, we're seeing numbers that are beating 2019. We're not slowing down. The international travel, that's another part to this as well, that's going to play a massive part, especially for the London market, because that really determines how a lot of our markets roll in terms of hospitality. Once that international market gets better and better and better, that's going to immediately reflect in that. And then, of course, the corporate events. The corporate events generally will go down during the summer break and things. But once those corporate events, that's when groups start coming back. That's your bulk business. So we're not just looking at the short stays, your leisure stays. We're looking at these larger groups now coming back. So that M&E side is playing a big part, obviously, on the bedroom side of things. And this is what the leaders are saying, not just from what their experience is, but we're looking at stats from STR. We're looking at
boom. There you go. There you go.
Mate, you're on it.
Hey, and Thomas, for those that are listening and not watching, can you kind of go over that, and then I'll put the quotes up after you?
Yeah, so what, do you want me to, you want to talk about what's been said?
The graph right here, and then I can show the quotes of what was said at the conference.
Oh, yeah. So if we look at the RevPAR, so if we're looking at the rates, we're even seeing rates going through the roof. So I'd say with the London market specifically, because obviously that's where I focus on, and it's where a number of conversations I actually had yesterday. We're seeing rates. I mean, we can't book a room. This might not have any relevance, but we can't book a room in London for less than £350 at the moment, which is incredible. Like that's again pre-2019. You can't even get a room in London at the moment unless you know somebody. So again, with regards to the talks of the looming recession, as we call it, we're seeing, if anything, amped performance, and that's reflecting in, I know it's reflecting in yours, Jeremy, but on my desk in my recruitment business, we've got more jobs coming in, and we're filling more jobs before we can even bloody advertise them part of the time. I've had 2 jobs that we filled that we haven't even got to advertise because we've already had candidates ready to go. The desks in recruitment are just mad right now. Salaries are going through the roof. I think you mentioned that at the start, but salaries are going through the roof. And we as recruiters, again, are those middle people trying to negotiate that, but also try and find some reasonability about it. Where the hell are we sitting in terms of it being reasonable? Because it can't keep going. There's got to be a ceiling somewhere.
Yeah, that's why the pendulum's got to shift a little bit.
Exactly.
Christine, can you read these quotes for the people who are not watching and they're listening? There's, like Thomas brought up at that conference right here. It was the NYU Hospitality Investment Conference. And here's the 3 quotes. Christine, can you see them?
Oh yeah, I can see them.
I want to hear your energy read those. we need your positivity energy for the people that are nervous.
Yes, there is a massive amount of pent-up demand, even in the face of reduced economic growth. That was Chris Nacita from is that how you say his name? Nacita, CEO of Hilton. I have never seen so much demand or pricing power. That's Sebastian Bazin, CEO of Accor. I don't even know what the company that is. Accor. Okay.
Accor. Yeah.
And then volume of pent-up demand is extraordinary. That is the Marriott CEO, Tony Capano.
There you go.
I'm so bad. So I feel that we need the pendulum needs to shift a little bit because the inflation is insane. Salary, all of that's going up too high. Even our rates. So we just need to level out and stabilize, and that's what the Fed chair is doing by increasing interest rates and whatnot, so that spending can slow down a little bit. And then and he even said, I think you put that quote up, that if we lose a few jobs to stabilize, it will be worth it because it's crazy. We have to stabilize.
There is such a lack of candidate right now that. And as a recruiter, for me to say this is mind-boggling because every other recession I was like shaking in my boots. I am not shaking in my boots. It's that dry. Kyle says this.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
There you go.
Yeah, I was literally about to comment on that.
I think we all were.
Go for it. Go for it.
Itching, weren't we? I can see you doing it. I was like, Aidan, you go for it. You go for it.
So my take on this, just to read it out for those that are listening, not watching. Kyle's comment saying, so you're saying without saying to look for a job now to maximize your earning potential before a slowdown. And what's really interesting about this is I wouldn't tell you to do that. I don't suggest you do that, but you probably could maximize your earning potential if you were to do that right now. So my take on the recession is that ultimately we probably will and could end up in a recession. The thing to bear in mind is that a recession is sorry, am I getting a lot of playback? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's your
I'm getting a bit of echo on mine.
Okay. I'm just gonna go one ear and see what happens there.
That works.
Okay, cool. So a recession is determined by 2 quarters of negative growth, right? So it could be 0.01%. It could be minimal, but regardless, you go into a recession. So my view on it is to not worry or panic when you go into it, and actually you'll find it just stabilizes things a little bit. So what we're seeing in the recruitment market and in all markets is that prices are going exponentially up, and at some point that needs to slow down. So coming into the market now, you could get a salary increase of 15% of your base salary. Overall packages are a lot higher than they ever have been. And employers are really trying to do whatever they can to attract and then retain the right staff. And they're throwing money at that. But there's going to come a point where that is not sustainable anymore. And we are in an unsustainable job market. So Kyle, yes, you're right. But we're going to go through a period now where that's going to slow down. And for recruiters, it's going to mean that actually it's easier to find more candidates because more people will look, but also there's going to be less jobs available. So employers won't increase wages as much as they have done.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I would love to ask for you gentlemen and anybody out there what your thoughts are on this. It relates to Kyle's question. If you're with a company that you like and you're doing well and they respect you and you've got some good stuff and you're literally only looking to maximize your earning potential, then because the grass is not always greener. And then what I have seen in my history is we're in a situation where you can gain more income, you go get another job, then all of a sudden we hit a recession and now you're at such a high salary economy, and there's so many people looking for jobs that are super qualified, and all of a sudden they replace you. So that worries me too. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I didn't even think about it. I guess I'm so like dug into recruiting that like.
Yeah, it's a strong point because we did see it when COVID hit.
It just happened.
We did see
it. Like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there could be a cycle to be seen there and tracked. I do believe it's a good point. I think with regards to Kyle's question, my response to that would be the same one that we've seen, I'd say, for the last 8 to 12 months. It's a candidate-driven market. So if a candidate goes out on the market right now, they're naturally going to have a better situation than they did, well, let's say 2 years ago, because already they've got choices, salaries are up. So I'd say it's a very good time for somebody to look if they wanted to. But I think Christine makes a very good point. What happens if the recession, this looming recession, does hit, and let's say it hits hard? The hospitality industry, we've already seen the reaction they did last time. Whether that was the correct one or not, I think is relative to the business. And some of the decisions made were questionable. But again, I think you make a very good point. I think
what my real point is that if you're with a company that you respect and love, and they respect and love you, go and have a conversation with them to say, you know what, my potential out here if I left the company is this. Is there anything we can do for you to retain me? And because I love being here, and maybe boost that a little bit. But if you go and get some desperate company that's willing to pay you anything just to get your body in the door, and then we do hit the recession, you're going to be I feel like you're going to be the first person to go when they've got all these candidates out there that they can pay less.
If I can parse that, I'm not really nervous on, like, especially with like mid-tier management, especially like any kind of like entry level. I mean, I don't think it's even a question that they're going to be in high demand. I think the fact that the inflation has gone up and people are accustomed now things being at a certain rate, I can't see like salaries going down because you just can't live off of that. And we've been so heavily depleted in our industry. I mean, it's so depleted. So much talent is left. I just can't see people being terminated because of salary that they acquired during like this last couple of years. I just can't see it.
It would never be called I'm letting you go because of your salary, but
well, I just can't.
We've got to reduce our staffing. We gotta make our management thinner. We've got to, you know what I mean? And then you're the top salary or the last brought on, so you're gonna go first.
I'll bring up
I've got
right here. Evan Kaplan. We are a long way from hospitality talent being replaced many years away. That's some good news. There we go. We'll celebrate that. Where's my
I agree.
I think I have three points I would probably make around the whole salary piece, Christine, which we see from recruiters. So the first point is if you leave and you join another business, albeit not everyone can do this, and it is recession dependent and redundancies dependent, but you need to be in a position where you make yourself invaluable, right? Valuable, sorry, so that you're going to avoid that redundancy conversation. Easier said than done, but basically you just need to back yourself and prove your worth. However, before you get there, the two reasons why people go out to market and they look at other opportunities is, one, there's not that open door policy internally where you can go and talk about your salary openly and say, well, look, I've gone out to the market and this is what I could get if I went elsewhere. And there should be. But second is you never, ever get the salary that you could get externally with an internal move. So you'll have the conversation. Your GM, or in my case, the FD, could say, look, we don't have the budget. You're very valuable. Or here's a slight increase. Here's 5K on top of your base. It will never be the 15, 20% that you're going to be able to get in another business. But miraculously, that money appears when you hand your notice in, and then they say, no, please don't go. Here's some money. So it ultimately, at that point, people want to go because they feel that they've not been looked after, because it took them to hand in their notice in before the money was actually shown as being worthwhile for them. So that's why I think there are a couple of reasons around. It's just, it isn't sustainable for a business to give everyone a 10, 15% pay rise every single time they ask and they attempt to go to market. But in reality, it's going to be better for the candidate to move externally because they're going to.
We used to say that at Marriott all the time, that in order to get the increase that you're due, you have to leave the company and come back. So that's what we used to say all the time at Marriott, that you have to leave the company and come back in order to get where you want to be.
And that should never be the case, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't.
No.
It shouldn't.
Jeremy, you're on mute, my friend.
I was on mute because there's people cutting lawn in the backyard. There's like a mower going by, but it's gone now. So no, I saw Thomas smirking when you were talking about the counter offer.
Here's a little shift in conversation, if that's able. What are your tips to prepare if, and I am just saying that it's not happening because I want to be positive and channel some good energy here, but what are the things you would do to prepare for an oncoming recession? So I'll have 3 tips here, and this is not necessarily regarding your positions, but 3 tips are, if you're worried about an oncoming recession, which we should be always prepared in this event anyways, is to try and save 6 months of living expenses so that you are good if something does happen. And they said to invest in stocks, because when the markets start to crash and whatnot, stocks go down, and that's a good time to get in. So be ready to do that, and pay off debt. If you have any high interest debt, such as credit card debt, etc., pay off debt. Those are 3 tips to prepare for any recession. Now, I want to share with you something for the hotels. Back in our 20s, 2007, 2008 recession, so many hotel companies started to eliminate certain programs, like the General Clean Preventative Maintenance Program. They stopped doing PTAC cleaning throughout the hotel. They stopped doing outsourcing carpet cleaning throughout the hotel. They just started cutting all these different services. Well, then you come out of this recession.
Breakfast?
Yeah, well, that was the pandemic.
I mean, everybody wanted the breakfast.
Yeah, but we came out of the recession, and our hotels were so badly beaten. And not just like something you could just change in a day. Mold, odor, bad carpet. These are things that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to replace and to correct. So it's not worth it to take your processes aside when you hit a recession. There might be some things you can scale back, but the maintaining of your asset is not one of them.
I've personally seen what you're talking about. I don't want to. I'm not going to name names, but I've stayed at plenty of hotels the last few years, and there's some of them that are not to be desired with the cleanliness. But I have a comment here that I saw. Yes. I didn't even have I didn't even read it yet, so I'll read it live.
Let's read it. Yes.
As our industry is bouncing back, which factor is being placed? Is it salary driven factor or retaining the talent and make them valuable? That's a question. Okay. Also, opportunities around the world is open. However, the phrase we are an equal opportunity employer does not apply, as positions posted are selective to certain nationality, locally available. There are many talents looking for opportunity. It's more of a comment than a question.
Probably
as far as the bouncing
the
back,
part,
the retaining, or the recruiting. I mean, they're both super important, but I just feel like it's always so prevalent. But retaining your team and creating a great culture where people love to work, I just feel like that's the most important thing you can do. Yeah. I don't think there's anything more important than that.
Yeah, and I'm a recruiter, and I'm saying that. Yeah, I think that is the best way. I think it's one of those things as well. As I said before we got on this call, I've got clients at the moment that are terrified of losing staff because they know the demand is high, but they're going to have to work so incredibly hard to get anybody enticed to come into their business at this stage. So it pays to be retaining right now. But again, I think employees also need to understand that position that they're in. They are in that position of power right now. There's no question about that. And I think that they should be empowered on that thought process.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I agree with that. So I've been saying for months, probably the last year, that I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, that it's a candidate-driven market, and I am all for it, and I still stand by that. Like, we've had, like, COVID was a real prime example of where not all companies, like a lot of companies, were really great to their staff and looked after them, but there were certain businesses that really didn't and were awful to staff, cut jobs when they probably didn't need to. Because of the pandemic, when they did hire, salaries weren't that great, and they really controlled the hiring process and didn't offer amazing salaries and packages. So for it to turn and candidates be in control, I am absolutely always in favor of, but it's just going to change. You can see that it's going to change, and I think it probably needs to change just because we've gone from candidates being in control and it being really good and there being an inflation on salaries to now being a case of the starting salaries are far too significant, and some of the jumps people are getting are unsustainable. So yeah, I think I'm all for power for candidates, and I love that. But you need to sort of juggle it a little bit. It can't be 70% to 30. You want it to be maybe 60-40, in my opinion.
No, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
On the second part of, and I'm really bad with names. Benindi. So if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize.
You can call him Ben.
Ben, I'm gonna call you Ben. But on the second part, I would love if you want to offer any other clarification, because I think that's a great topic as well. And I'm wondering, I'm not 100% sure where you're going with that, but I'd love to dig into that too. If you want to clarify a little bit, that would be great. But however, the phrase "we are equal opportunity employer" does not apply as positions posted are selective to certain nationality or locally available. So I'm not sure if you're saying that we're not being inclusive enough, it's not being said enough. I'd love more clarification on that, because I think this is a great topic. This is a high topic right now in so many of our companies.
I think it's kind of an assumption. He feels that way, so it's his opinion. I think I know of most of the companies that I speak to that are pretty, they are equal opportunity employers, and I mean, there's never a time where we'll not talk to a candidate because of something that is under the EEOC. But obviously,
we're not seeing the "we're equal opportunity employer" on postings now. I'm not sure. But one other thing I want to share for you, Ben, I just thought of this because I talk about retention and creating culture. Like, I could talk about it endlessly, and I just put out for all of my community a huddle planner and guide, and I'm going to put in the link. It's a free resource for you to create that huddle, and huddle is the most important thing you do every day. Nothing will drive your results inside your business, whether it's hotel or any other business, more than huddle will. So I have that free resource, and I'll put it in the link in the comments if you'd like to get that.
I think I agree with Kyle, by the way, on his last comment here. I think Ben. Yeah, I think Ben is actually talking about that relocation side of things, because I know in the UK, I'm not so sure what it's like in the US, but if we do hire somebody outside of the UK and they don't have the legal right to work in the UK, they will therefore need sponsorship. For the last 2 years, because of the amount of talent we've had on the market, we've not even considered looking outside of the market. Now, I think, again, Ben, sorry, sort of abbreviating your name here, but I think that might be, and he can obviously clarify, and I hope he does, but I do believe that's what he's saying. In terms of that relocation side of things, in a lot of cases, it's just not on the table. So there is a lot of talent out there, and they are looking for opportunities, but there's a lot of opportunities, especially in the UK, as far as I'm concerned, from what I'm seeing. If you do not have that legal right to work in the UK, you've either got to work incredibly hard to get that, or you've got to count on the company being in a position to do so. And right now, I would say the majority, I'm not going to say all, of course, but the majority will not consider it.
I can speak. Yeah. You're same for us here in the States. Everything you said is pretty identical. And also, like a lot of hiring leaders want to have local talent or people who, because Florida is such a destination area. And I know, speaking for me, I get a lot of people that want to relocate, but I don't know. I'm trying to kind of articulate this good. Most of the clients I speak to would much rather look at local talent first, because relocation comes as an added expense. And when you're working in certain properties, especially in Florida, there's a lot of knowledge you have to have that is specific to the market. South Beach people want, Miami wants Miami people. And now, of course, if you work within that search and you're hitting a wall and you can't find the talent there, then you circle back and you can open up your search a little more and talk about, well, maybe Vegas will work, or if they want beach specific, well, maybe some California talent will work. Right? But I mean, I know we're talking about relocation. I don't know if that was his intention, but it can't. It does end up being,
Jeremy got it.
What's that?
He said that Jeremy got it. ...
Oh.
Cool.
There you go.
So I think your initial question, right, was what should you do? What tips do you have to prepare for a recession? And the first one that came up that I think Jeremy put was probably my first point. It's be aware but don't panic. And I don't want to carry on and repeat the same point that I said earlier, but yeah, recessions happen and we work our way through them. And if you panic, it will only ever feel worse. And there are still going to be jobs created in a recession. There will still be jobs available. People will still get an increase in their salaries, and you can retain your staff, and you'll still, in the hospitality industry for you guys, your occupant levels will hopefully still remain high, and people still want to go on holiday. It's just the case that you're in a slight negative, the quarter has obviously had negative growth. It doesn't mean that it's substantial. It just means it's negative. So just don't panic. And there are certain things I think we probably all give advice on in terms of how to go about recruiting in a recession and how to job search. But yeah, don't panic is the biggest one. We've been through them before. They happen.
And prepare. Oh, you want to always be prepared, because even in the best of times, you could lose your job or things could get hard. So just prepare always.
Absolutely.
I think
I have a little
communicate.
Tip
Oh yeah, go on.
That, it's just kind of going off of what Christine just said, and I wrote this. Being prepared. Keep growing your network. Don't stop just because you might feel it's a candidate's market and you're complacent or you feel comfortable. Keep growing your network, and then have a plan B and a plan C in the back burner of your head, just in case.
Always.
I mean, I don't think you're going to need it, but hey, have it planned out. Just build your network and have those opportunities just on the side, just in case. But don't panic. Do not panic. I'm not nervous about it. And if you're hearing headhunters and recruiters telling you that right now, you shouldn't panic either, because we're the first ones that should.
Right. Right. And
Fair.
the other thing is, even with what I do, I always, my whole life, I've always had multiple pots burning. When I worked in hotels early, I always had a side job or a side hustle, or I did videos on the side. I took pictures and I put them to music and made DVD movies for people. I always have something on the side going, because I'm always prepared for if something happens. And so that's always good to think about.
Yeah. I think one thing I'd say is that communication element. So employers to your employees, if they're in the hospitality industry, I think the word recession, and Aidan actually made a very good point earlier, just because the word recession brings so much anxiety and in a lot of cases fear, the definition of recession doesn't necessarily give you the severity of the recession. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to hit like a ton of bricks, that it is going to be massively awful and all this sort of stuff. But I do think that employees in the hospitality market more specifically need to keep a very clear line of communication with their people, because there are going to be a lot of people after the last 2 years that are going to immediately think, oh my God, what's going to happen now? What's next? And I think employers need to keep that line of communication open, honest, and transparent, because you'll have the buy-in from your people. Then you'll have their trust. And I also think that side hustle comment from Christine. Yeah, one thing that I would say, if anybody on here or on the panel is involved in crypto right now, you'll see how massively up and down it's been. And I'm going to be honest, I took a pretty big hit. But I'm in it for about 4 to 5 years. So I'd say to anybody right now, where it has dipped, if you're looking to make some investments there, it's somewhere that I'm really focusing on right now. So again, I think that side hustle side of things is so important, whether that be cryptocurrencies or whether that be a side hustle in terms of business, could be a hobby that turns into a revenue earner, anything, something that you might be passionate about. We saw it during COVID. Loads of people opened up little food stalls outside their homes. They just created ways of putting their passion into a revenue earner that paid for your shopping or your petrol. And I think we all could use a bit of money for petrol right now. So yeah, I think that side hustle thing is so important.
And this is like the time for...
We've all just been through it with the pandemic. We've all had to hunt and figure out, what else can I do?
The gig economy is what, I mean, it's a great thing, but if you talk to hoteliers and restaurateurs, like it also hurt us because now there are so many options. Like gig economy is everywhere. Pick up your mobile phone, make up your schedule, and hustle when you want. It there's another reason not to worry. Like you'll figure it out. It's not if a recession hits, it's not going to happen forever. I mean, I was there. I remember 08, 09. I was recruiting at the time in New York, and that was the scariest. And I was an internal recruiter at the time, which is like, I mean, a recession is like the best thing for an internal recruiter because you have a million applicants coming at you. I went to Detroit to do an opening. I kid you not. Have you guys ever seen like the videos of like Black Friday when they open the doors and people just run in and they knock stuff over? Okay, I swear to you, I was at a job fair back when people did job fairs, and we had a table and like applications, and the gate was there and it was full like Black Friday, and the gate came up and they just bum rushed inside because like I'm running out of applications. It sounds like a story, but it swear to you it happened. That was 2000. No, it wasn't 09. I'm sorry, it was 2007, 2008, around that time. That was terrifying. That was crazy. But I just the economy's too strong right now. I mean, like
And Kyle just said that during the middle of COVID, because of LinkedIn connections, even in the worst market, he got that job, and networking matters. And that's, again, just be prepared right now. Be doing all of that. Even in the best of times, be doing that, because it's inevitably going to happen. We're going to go through these ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, and it's going to happen. So just be prepared.
I have
go on. Yeah, no, go on, please.
I had like a specific question for Aiden and one for Christine.
Okay.
But for those,
all right, mate. All right.
And I have a very special one for you. For Aiden, for those who don't know, Aiden specializes in finance. So like we're hotel people, hospitality people, and then Aiden's in finance. So like I'm really curious on what you're hearing in your world, because that's like directly in like finance and economy, recession. It's all like is for me the same world. So what are you hearing? You're talking to business leaders and professional and C-suite. What are you hearing?
I am hearing nothing different to probably what we're all saying, in that we are going to go into a recession, or very, very, very close to going into one. In the UK, there's talk of, so interest rates are rising. The banks are having conversations with a lot of finance directors that I'm talking to now about interest rates going up, and potentially another 2 times before the end of the year, which obviously is not what you want to hear. But ultimately, it's just going to squeeze the economy slightly. But again, people aren't concerned about that. It's just a case of being prepared and being aware of it. So yeah, my opinion from those I'm talking to is that we are going to go into it. We're experiencing a recession, but it's not I suppose a recession is bad. I don't want to say a recession isn't bad, right? But it's just not disastrous if we can get through COVID and the pandemic of the last, prior to a year ago, 2 years, right? We can get through a slight recession. So ultimately, I'm of the opinion that we are heading towards a recession, but I don't think it's going to necessarily be a disastrous thing to happen, because at some point the market needs to even itself out.
It's going to be the equalizer.
Yeah, exactly. So before that question, I was going to talk about Kyle's comment, because he, as we've mentioned, he said, I got a job during the middle of COVID because of LinkedIn connections. Even in the worst market, networking matters. And that's all I was going to say that as well. So in terms of a side hustle, there'll be a lot of people that watch this that maybe don't have the money to have a side hustle, right? We consider ourselves fortunate if you can, and you can create money elsewhere. But there will be a lot of people that just live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. So what I would say to those individuals is that during the pandemic, I was still filling jobs. I was busy between the initial shutdown in March up until September. Well, the rest of the year, just so happens I took 3 months off to set up Ayla. But between March and September, I was busy. I was filling jobs. Companies were still looking for people, and talent was still moving, right? So if we're in a recession, don't panic, don't stress. You can still get an increase, and you can still upskill to create higher earnings for yourself.
That is exactly what was said at that conference, like the one we were talking about in the beginning. Where is it? Right here. Boom, right here. That if the hoteliers and the hospitality industry can get through COVID, like, come on. But that was like the most like nightmarish situation that could ever happen to us. So maybe that's why we feel like we already have our bulletproof vests on right now.
Right.
And it's not to say it's not going to happen, but it's like Christine said in the beginning, it's like how much do you let it impact you? If you just tune it out and just go about your regular day, you're going to see the gas prices are horrible, right? Okay, but our salaries are increasing, and there's plenty of jobs out there, and like you just try to keep getting through it. But it's not, I think, like it was in 2020.
Something, you just you channel it, you bring it. When you say it's going to be a shitty day, you want bad thing happen, bad things happen in 3, your brain's going to find the 3, you're going to find the bad. And I know that sounds kind of fluffy, but I just think that if we all keep generating this is what's going to happen, then that's what's going to happen. But the other thing I want to share is I was listening to NPR recently, and they were talking about, yes, there have been job losses, but it's all in the industries where during COVID, they went crazy because we were on Peloton bikes inside of our homes. We were all binge watching Netflix. Those are the industries that are now seeing some job losses because everybody was doing it during COVID, and now people are getting back to their lives, and it's not, I don't need Netflix anymore. I don't need my Peloton anymore. So a lot of the losses that we are seeing already are on things that were so pushed during the last 2 years, and now they're overblown for the need.
Like sanitation lotions and like masks makers. I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, I still want my sanitation lotion, but
well, in the UK, that was just,
I'm not going to wash my hands anymore, guys.
So.
What was that, Aiden? I missed that bit.
Oh, sorry, it was just a joke. I just said in the UK. Oh my god, I can't say
it. What can you say?
I'm trying to.
What happened?
No, I'm saying.
All right, I'm going to mute everybody. Aiden, go.
All I said was that those companies in the UK were run by government friends anyway, so they can just shut them down and not worry about it. But it's just,
and I get that. So that's good. Yeah, fair enough. But now you have to say it like the third time. It's like
it's not funny now. It's really not funny. Yeah, but had I got it in when it came to my mind immediately, then it would have been.
Comedy is all timing, right?
Exactly right. So shall I say it one more time?
For God's sake, no.
The time is gone. It's gone. It's left. So Christine, I had a question for you.
Okay.
This is more just what, because you're on property, like we as recruiters, we're behind our desk, we're talking to people, we're hearing them talk, you're seeing it, you're out there with them. So I just wanted to pull up my question real quick here. I had it. Did I just delete it? Oh my gosh, it was like right there. Oh, here we go. Got it. Okay. So how is it impacting the training, onboarding, the overall retention? Have you heard anything? Because you're visiting properties. If you want to share what you do with those that don't know, but you pretty much visit. You're on properties like every week and sometimes a couple a week. Are you hearing anything like the word on the street? Like are you hearing people talk about this?
What specifically? And the question,
are you seeing it like when with onboarding and training, right? Like we're pretty much done when we're done recruiting. When we hire them, they're in your lab, right? They're on the property is onboarding, they're training them. I am still seeing pretty bad retention. Like I'm hearing people still leaving,
horrible retention,
which tells me people are not nervous because they can just go find another job. Like that's kind of what I'm getting at. Are you seeing people like hunkering down, or are you still hearing stories of people leaving after a couple of weeks, not showing up to work?
All of it, and scheduling multiple interviews and nobody showing up, and all of those things. And again, look at the low unemployment rate. It's not because people I have to just say that I've got a job interview so I can get my unemployment check. It's not that. The people have figured out this new world of gig economy, and they want to become influencers, and they want to work when they want to work, and there's just so many different reasons why we're struggling so much. And you think about it, during the pandemic, we just let millions of our people go. And some of them don't feel good about that. I mean, not that it was anybody's fault, it was life, but a lot of them are working in other industries now. And there's just so many reasons why our industry is talent poor. But what I want to say is how it's impacting so greatly, because these teams, especially your smaller select service teams, are so short-staffed that they want to do the great onboarding and the great training and the investing, but they're so short-staffed. The general managers are making beds. The general managers are running the desk. It's just so difficult to do what you want to do in that. So that's why if you are a high-level leader, if you are in that above property role, the best thing you can do for your teams is clear the path for them. What high level things can you do to help clear the path so that your general managers and leaders can run their properties? That's one thing I would just say right there that would help support the properties. But in order to do those great onboardings, you've got to have the team to be able to have the time to do it. Now, I share a ton of stuff in my masterclass of how to execute their day of arrival and after to create great cultures. And so many of these ideas and strategies are very simple. And you could do it even if you're working the front desk. But it's just having a plan. And this is the thing. So many people get caught up in the idea fairies, like, oh, there's an idea, I'll do that. There's an idea, I'll do that. And that will just end up derailing you. You've got to have the strategy and the plan first. And then if you hear a great idea, okay, I can fit that in my strategy. But just running after an idea after idea is going to derail your efforts.
I'd say as well, just on the back of that, from a training and development side, Jeremy sort of said, yeah, no, us recruiters, but I have a subsidiary business that actually focuses purely on interim contracts, but part of that is actually training and development. And we've had more inquiries about interim contracts for commercial entities. So your sales and marketing, your revenue management, and your e-commerce side of things. we've had more inquiries coming through for short-term contracts because they've felt that they've not been in a position to be able to offer permanent contracts. So we've been taking advantage of that and being able to put people in a very close succession of the different contracts. And the other thing that we've actually seen is a lot more of a training and development focus. So whether that is from a post COVID perspective, where they do have lots of people coming into the team now, and they want to ensure that they've got a solid training and development plan, not just a short-term couple of day thing, but throughout the year. That's been a big thing that we've been looking at. Consistent training and behavioral assessments and stuff like this throughout the year, and then that can be measured year on year. That's been an interesting development. And I think that's employers focusing from a post-COVID perspective, but also potentially, I don't know if it is quite this, but it could potentially be a recession focus as well. But we've certainly seen an increase in the training and development side of things, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, how about we ask a fun question? We're going into the 4th of July weekend. How about we have some fun?
All right, let's do it. Even though these guys over here are probably like,
it's a Sunday.
That's right.
It's actually a Monday. It's actually a Monday, guys. But
it's a Monday. It's a Monday.
There
you go.
Well, we're going into the weekend, so regardless. All right. Since we're talking about travel and hospitality and everything, and we're going into the weekend, and right now, I think there's some kind of a strike going on, and flights are being canceled.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, anyways, my fun question though, we're not going to get back into that. We're gonna have fun. If you could have, and everybody out there, if you're watching or tuning in, or if you're even on the replay, just type it in the chat when you watch it. If you could have 2 first class tickets to anywhere in the world, where would you be flying off to?
Can it be 2 different places or just 2 tickets, you and a friend?
Don't get greedy.
Well, no, you said 2 tickets, right? So it's like me and my wife going one place.
Honey bunny. You and your honey bunny.
Oh, okay. I thought I was going to hog 2 tickets and pick 2 places.
Jeremy, him and his wife are leaving the kids at home to send for them.
I'm going to go to London and see Aiden and Thomas.
I know, right? I know.
Well, the thing is, I said I was going to go to Florida, so we might cross in the air.
I think we passed. Yeah. How sad would that be? That's a good question. Where would I go? I don't know. Can I go first?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Oh my God, that's really hard, man. There's like a bunch of places I want to go. I guess like if I really, really had to, man, Tokyo.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
Like that would be probably my first, but there's many others that are so right there. But yes. Tokyo just seems so cool. But
all right, Aiden.
So I think right now I'd fly to New York. We really want to go. We haven't been to New York before, so I think I'd just hop on and
I'll talk you out of it.
Head over the pond. Head over and get over there. No, don't talk me out of it.
Awesome.
Or at least meet me there.
I'm from there. No, it's great.
It's awesome. Yes. All right, Thomas.
It would have to be get me back to Bali. So yeah, I'd probably say back to Bali. I feel very lucky. I'm going on my first international holiday in nearly 4 years, actually, in September for my birthday. So unfortunately, that isn't to Bali. That's actually to Mexico. But I think if I was gonna choose somewhere, and if I was gonna be first class, I'd want it to be a really long flight.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Yes. That's why I think that I initially said the Maldives, but then I would love to go to Australia. So that's such a long flight, and first class, that would be delicious. So
what does it say about all of us? Me and Aiden want to go to bustling huge cities, and you guys want to go. Like, what is that? Does that mean I'm like a masochist or something? Or like...
No, it means I'm stressed.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking of food. All I think of like vacation food. I'm like, where do I want to go? Like tear up a lot of food. I'm going to Tokyo.
Yes. Well, if you're out there or watching the replay, we'd love to know where you want to go too.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
So we're coming up on the hour, and
Yes.
I knew that we would not have a lack of conversation. There's like so much stuff that I didn't even bring up, but I'm glad that we spoke about this because it was actually kind of a ha kind of joking around recession. Oh God, everybody's talking about it, hence the funny thumbnail. But again, it's nothing to joke about. I get that recession. But the point is, I think you can hear from all four of us that it's nothing to really panic about. And, there's a lot of positive that is still going on and a lot that will be coming, especially in our industry in hospitality. We've been so depleted that I just, again, this there's a timestamp on this. Maybe we're wrong, but at this moment, I'm just not nervous about it. And with that, I'll do my outro. So I am, as you can see, Jeremy Nichols with Gecko Hospitality. You can find me on LinkedIn and YouTube. Just search my name. It's simple, Jeremy Nichols, and you'll find me on YouTube. Find me on LinkedIn, and I'll take it. I'll pass it over to Aiden.
Awesome. Control the controllables is how I would say to leave this
like that.
live event. We may hit a recession, but it's not all doom and gloom. Control the controllables and don't panic. So thank you, everyone. Always a pleasure. Love you guys. As you can see, my name is Aidan Murray, and I am the Managing Director of Ayla Recruitment. And you can find us on LinkedIn, and feel free to connect with me and ask me any questions that I may be able to help you with.
Love it.
Amazing.
Go ahead,
Christine.
Thomas. Oh, okay.
No. No, let me, because I don't want to come after you again, for goodness sake. First off, I just want to say yes to Kyle. His last comment is exactly right. International travelers haven't come back yet. And that is a big thing that as soon as it does, that's going to amp things up. So what a great last comment from Kyle. Thank you very much. So, Thomas Finn, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on YouTube, which is Edwards and Finn, and that is a channel called ENF TV, all focused around the hospitality market, from hotel brands, hotel management companies, but also tech companies as well, providing some fantastic solutions to hospitality businesses globally. You can also find me on Instagram as well. Just search Edwards and Finn, and we will pop up. That's me, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in.
Awesome. Well, happy 4th of July weekend for all of you in America or in the U.S. And I'm Christine Trippi, again, The Wise Pineapple. The book is on Amazon. Yes is the answer. And it's thewisepineapple.com. Come visit me. And inside the link or in the comments, I put my link to get your free huddle guide and planner. Let it help rejuvenate your culture and retain your team. Whoop, whoop. All right, boys, and everybody out there, stay positive. Just
absolutely
today.
All right, guys.
Be prepared for tomorrow.
See you
Bye,
later,
everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
See you next month.
Bye, guys.